it's just been a wild growth aspect of how this, like, from where I started to where I am now at 45. Um, but it's one of those things that it's the natural progression to the next level of what is
Right.
within this industry, and for me, that's how I
Yeah.
look at it, because I see so many detailers that do, you're right, Tug, they say, like, they look at it and they're just kind of in their shops, and
Right.
they might have an outlet via podcast, via just their social media, and they
Hmm.
talk about what they do. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of folks in this industry that haven't been in the industry. They don't
Right.
Right.
know that everybody is friends. All the different
Right.
manufacturers are friends. They don't know that
Right.
everybody hangs out at the same, when I would go to
Right.
Moldtech, people used to be surprised because Ian from Auto Fiber and I would go have dinner every time. And
Hmm.
they'd be like, "What are you guys doing? You're competitors."
Yeah.
We're
Right.
friends. You guys don't realize how much the two of us help each other day to
Yep.
Right.
day in business when we have shipping issues. During
Yeah.
COVID, we relied on Ian, and Ian relied on us because there were some products he couldn't get and some products we couldn't
Okay.
get, and we would have to
Yeah.
work together on a lot of stuff to
Yeah.
try and get containers over. Um,
Hmm.
and that is something that I think most people don't understand, is how many companies work and help each other
Yeah.
within the industry. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, all I care about is people enjoying the process of having a clean car, whether they do it
Hmm.
themselves or they pay somebody to do it, that it's that
Yep.
feeling at the end of the day that they look forward to. And that's our
Right.
ultimate goal in this.
Hi, friends. Welcome to the Opti-Coat Podcast, where we share stories from detailing professionals and highlight cutting-edge products, techniques, and tools that'll help your detailing to accelerate into the future. Wherever you're listening or watching this podcast, please follow, like, subscribe, and share with a friend. I hope you enjoy the conversation.
All right. So today we're joined with Levi Gates from Auto Wash. Levi Gates, at least I've been following you for quite a while, just because most detail videos are detailers, I'll say, on YouTube are in their own little world, right? So I think you had your business and you went to, the rag company. Um, I think you have, your fingers on the pulse. Why don't you talk about how you got started in detailing?
Well, that's a great one. Well, first off, thanks guys for having me. Um,
Absolutely.
so Man, I started. The joke is, I really didn't start detailing cars till professionally till I was 16, and I got a job at a car wash down the street from my house, which just so happened to also be half a mile away from where the current rag company site is, the main campus. But um, prior to that, my parents detailed cars on the weekends, and they
Hmm.
did it for extra money. And my parents used to argue over who actually taught me how to wax cars first. My dad says I was 13, and he's like, I remember it. I showed him how to do this, and then right after that, I taught him how to run a rotary buffer. And my mom says no, he was like 6 months old in a baby Bjorn, and I was waxing an 81 Prelude, and I was trying to keep his hands out of the can of wax, and I was telling him how it works. And she goes, "That was the first time he learned how to wax a car." And so that was kind of how I grew up. Was just that was
Hmm.
part of it. I mowed lawns as a kid, and then I washed and waxed cars. Those were my chores. That and taking my dog out to go to the bathroom and taking the trash out. And so
Hmm.
um, when I got old enough to start realizing that I enjoyed washing cars more than I enjoyed mowing lawns, um,
Yeah.
even though it took longer, when I think back to it of how long it took me, and I'd charge like $10 to wash a car and wax it, and I was like 12 years old, 13 years old. Um, I enjoyed the process more. It didn't feel like work. Where mowing a lawn, I felt like I get hot and
Yeah.
sweaty and
Right.
and
Right.
dusty, and
Yeah.
so I just really enjoyed washing and waxing cars, and that was just my thing. When I was a kid, I
Hmm.
drew cars and wanted to become an automotive designer. That was my goal as a kid growing up. That was just it. And part of that was I found that if I touched a car, it was easier for me to remember the shape and the design of the surface of the vehicle, and it was easier for me to replicate it when I would draw it. And so most of the times I would just wash a car just so I could touch the car so that I could add it to my memory bank, basically. That was me in a nutshell starting out. When I turned 16, I was stoked because I got a job at an automatic full service car wash that was touchless. But we did the vacuum when they pulled up. We'd put an air freshener in, we'd pull it up to the wash, we'd pressure wash it, we'd do the wheels, all that stuff, and then run it through the tunnel. And on the other end, it'd get windows, a wipe down on the interior, and get dried off and get the tires dressed, right? And the dude would wave his a towel, and the people would come out. I loved it because that gave me 300 cars on a weekend to touch, right? And so my ability to, like, I was getting my fix, so to speak. But I started in a detail shop back there doing express detailing. After that, I moved on to a dealership and worked partially in detail, partially in vinyl, doing graphic packages and stickers on vehicles. And then I went to a full service detail shop that was mostly a dealership, high production, high volume, privately owned shop. But we'd worked for a number of the dealers in the state, or the city, I should say, and that was where I learned my speed. We were paid piece rate back then. We were 3-step-in cars, so we were doing full cut and polishes on every single vehicle, full interior detailing for $120 for dealerships.
Nice.
And you were paid $35 a car, and you had to be as fast and as quick as possible. And there were days where we were doing them it'd take us 4 hours to finish a car, and you're getting $35 on it, and it was rough, but you had to be fast. So that was where I built speed. That's also probably where I damaged my body the most. There's only so many days you can rotary a car, that many cars in a day, and still be standing after 10 years. But after that 10 years, I learned how to manage a high volume shop. I learned how to talk to customers. I learned how to talk to prospective dealerships to get them in, get accounts built. Even though it was stressful and hard work, it's where I really built a lot of my core skill set within the detailing world, but also just in business itself, because I had a boss who, he had his own troubles, and so he couldn't always be there to run the shop, and he kind of left it to me to run it, which was both kind of a blessing and a curse.
Right.
But what that led me to do was open my own shop after that. And that was kind of the biggest turning point for me. Was I now had my own place of business. I had my own shop that I could run the way I wanted to. I didn't need to be a high stress, high production volume shop. That was where I started learning about retail customers and focusing on that for income. And then that was also the advent of coatings, and coatings had hit the market then. And this goes, I mean, I opened my shop in 2013. And in 2010, I had gotten my hands on some of the early Simonize coatings, and just coming into the market. And so being able to get to this point in 2013, 2014, and start seeing Modesta coming out and learning about Opti-Coat and learning about G-Technic. And all of these were still very, very quiet. That was where I learned, just like, oh, there's detailing's more. There's more than just a wash and wax on a car.
Right.
And this is where I learned a community. This is also the advent of Instagram and this connection with other detailers, to where back then we used to write out every single thing we did on the car, what the brands were, what the products we used. And I was using B&D blending products for years through Mark V, which was a distribution company in Boise. That fun fact is the original company that Tom from Buff Bright and For Real owned. And so he was kind of my mentor for 20 years, because he was my dude on a truck that would show up at my shop and sell me products and answer the questions I had. The new owner of MVP, as we call it, is now the factory store for Rag Company, and is on the Rag Company campus. So the detail storefront and his truck is there. And one of my guys who worked with me for 20 years as a detailer, he now runs that truck for MVP. So he's now the guy on the truck teaching that next generation
awesome.
and explaining all that to detailers of what they do.
Yeah.
So I'm proud to have gotten my guys into positions of like that, where they've been able to give back within our local industry for that next generation. But yeah, the shop is where, when I opened up Masters of Shine, it was really the point in which I remember the day my wife, I was running a lot of acid back in the day in detailing cars, hydrofluoric acid. And I was starting to have pains. I was starting to have just waking up with aches and problems. And it was just I was getting old. But I started learning more and more about the chemistry of the products I had been using for the past decade, really the past 15 years at that point, and realizing the health effects that they had. And I remember my wife saying, at the time my daughter was like 3, my son was just born. We had just started the shop. And so I had these 2 little kids, and my wife was like, you need to find something safer. You need to this is you have control now of what you order.
Right.
At the old shop, you didn't. This shop, you have control over what you want to use, what your guys want to use.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want to be able to walk in with the kids and visit you and not breathe in weird chemical smells or anything like that. And that was the very first thing that I started looking at, was going, well, I better learn my SDS sheets. I better learn, what's all in these. I better do some basic research. And so it was a lot of Google and pictures, and it led me to learn about Dr. G. It led me to move towards Optimum, and at the same time, Rag Company became an Optimum distributor, and that was a place that I could get my products from. And I just found it literally they just happened at the same time.
Awesome.
And I listened to Jimbo Balaam's podcast when he had Ivan and Dan on it, and they were first speaking about Optimum and all the stuff the products could do. And I was listening to it, and I remember working and going like, wait a minute, and hearing about the synergy of everything. And I gave it to my partner at work, Matt Ward, and I handed him, I sent him the episode, and I said, you got to listen to this. And he listened to it, and we both looked at each other and said, let's try it. So we went down to the Rag Company. That was the day we met.
Nice.
Jeff and those guys, we spent 3 hours at the Rag Company learning about microfiber, but the only reason we went there was to pick up Optimum products.
Okay.
And they didn't have a lot, but they had no rinse, and they had car wax, and I think they had like MDR and Ferrex. I don't even think he had the polishes yet, but I grabbed those first, and we went back and started using them, and listened to the podcast again, and just listened to everything that Ivan and Dan had said about how to use it. Like, that was the only way I had it at the moment. And so we just started playing with it. And that's when I started building in my efficiencies of stuff that we could do within that space, right? And so we started figuring out, like, man, this actually works really well for what we're doing. And we just embraced it. I loved the fact that a lot of it was non-toxic. I loved the fact that everything was safe and fast and quick. And all of a sudden we were looking at each other, and Matt and I had been together 20 years also, detailing cars along with Justin. And the 3 of us, as soon as we started working on this new style, we just started laughing. We were like, we can't believe how fast, easy, simple this is.
Wow.
You're telling me we could do wash clay seals or wash clay waxes this way? Like, this was unheard of in our area. And we started doing it faster. And that was where it really became a lot of fun. And then Rag Company had reached out to me and started asking me, hey, can you answer questions for customers? I started doing customer service for them. And then it got to a point where I was on the phone all day for Rag Company while detailing cars at my shop. And Jeff called me and said, hey, I need you to come to California with me for a trip and to meet a company. and they wanted to buy some towels, but he's like, I don't know what'll work best for what situation. And when we got to the airport, he goes, how do I hire somebody like you? And I was having so much fun doing this like new variant of work, so to speak. I just said, well, why wouldn't you just hire me? Took us about 2 years for me to get my business sold and make that transition to the rag company. But once I was in, I was in. But that was how it started. We started shooting videos on towels, and then Ivan came down and said, hey, I'd love to shoot videos with you guys. And that's kind of what got us our start in the industry as a voice. And for a long time, people assumed that Optimum and TRC were sister companies. For probably the first 4 years of us working together, because we did so much. And then once we brought on PNS, that's kind of when the people were like, oh, they aren't owned by the same company if they're bringing on another brand. And now Rag Company, is in 75 countries around the world. And we had 24 different brands. And I mean, it grew into something much bigger than I thought it was going to be. But what is fun was it allowed me to go around the world preaching the gospel of O&R and microfiber, proper premium microfiber, and teach detailers in all walks of life the same skill set that I learned, in 2014, going like, holy cow, this is going to change the game, and if you'll notice, Rag Company never carried any other type of rinseless other than O&R. And there was a reason for that. The way Anthony and I built and designed how we brought in products was they had to work, and they had to hit a list of things that we needed and wanted. And when O&R was there, it was our standard, it was our staple. But there were so many rinselesses that came out during that time period, and so many people asking us why we didn't bring this on or why we didn't try it. It's because it never worked the way I wanted it to work, or the way Anthony wanted it to work. When Ivan moved to McKee's, he brought in a 914 and said, try it. We tried it with him, and I remember sticking my hand in the bucket and going, nope, it's not the same. It's not going to work the same. And that's why we never brought it on. And any of the other styles of rinseless, it never did the things I wanted it to do. And then when Dr. G got sick, we worked on trying to get the rights to O&R, to be able to use them and be able to sell it in case anything ever happened to him. Thankfully, he got healthy and came back and is fit as a fiddle now. And but that was one of the reasons we worked so hard with PNS to develop Absolute. Was we were worried we were going to lose O&R because we didn't know the status of what was going to happen. And so we created Absolute for that purpose. There was a few of us that worked on that project with Dave from PNS to really try and get it as close as we could to O&R and what it does. And that was one of those things where once we got that, it was like, all right, we finally have something that works. And then Coach Kemi with Rapid Rinseless, same dudes that helped us build helped us build the KCX Rapid Rinseless. So that was another one where we were like, okay, this one we really, really, truly like, and it's an epitome of what a rinseless should be. And then Bradley and DJ are old Opti-Coat guys, and they developed their armor rinseless in that same vein, going, these are the things we like about it, and this is what it needs to do. And so that's why we also brought it on, because Bradley and I I think we did Dr. G's training back in 2017 together. But those were the reasons that Rag Company brought in those extra rinselesses then, and those rinselesses was because they're the only ones that work similar to O&R. And there were years where I even told Dr. G this, because he got mad at me one day at SEMA and asked about it. But we carried like 7-8 different types of soaps, but only one rinseless. And there was a reason for that. And it was because it is the king and it is the standard. And there was nobody at the time that could even compete, could never even hold a candle to him. And so that was why we kept it on for so long as our main. And that's still the thing that I love using.
Yeah.
And it's what I still use because of that. So,
Right.
and that gets us up to now. Now I left Rag Company to go work at Auto Wash, and Auto Wash is kind of the future. Well, no, it is. It is the future of car care. And there's some things about it that make it what it is. It is what a detailer would create if they were able to create a car wash.
Right.
That's pretty much what it is. This company was started by a husband and wife, Aaron and Dennis Dreesen, 13 years ago. They have 27 locations down here in Denver. And I've been friends with them since they built their third location. And they have always fascinated me with the way that they perceive car care from a viewpoint of people who at the time didn't understand car care. They just observed. They just looked and said, we want to build a car wash. We want to get into some sort of cash positive business. What should we find? They looked at laundromats, they looked at car washes, they looked at all these different types of businesses. And then they settled on car washing. But then they said, well, why is everybody doing car washing the same way?
Right.
Why would we do the same? Then we're just the same car wash. There's never a growth opportunity or anything like that. So then they said, well, why does nobody do this machine? And they were like, oh, it's because it doesn't work. This is way faster. You can kick cars out every 30 seconds. And Dennis started noticing, he's like, yeah, but it scratches and damages the vehicles. Like, why would we be damaging customers' cars? Why would we do this?
Right.
And so fast forward to now, they've developed a fully built touch-free system that what sets us apart from everybody else is we only use pH balanced chemistry. We don't, or pH neutral chemistry. We don't use hard acids. We don't use harsh alkalins. So it's a pH neutral wash. We use hot water where nobody uses hot water. And every single one of our sprayers puts out 1200 PSI, where most touchless washes do 400. So it takes us 8 minutes to wash a car in an automatic bay, where they are, every other wash takes 30 seconds to get through. And the reason is we're doing a better job at getting the car clean. And then every location also has self-serve bays, and every self-serve bay has a foam cannon, has a pressure washer, has an air chamois, which is a giant air blower. And it does have a brush, but we just tell people, hey, if we didn't have a brush, people would complain that we didn't have a brush. But we have those in the self-serve bays. But we have a number of people that show up and bucket wash or just use our soaps and our hot water to wash their car. And they get a great wash out of it, to where they go, holy cow, I've never had a self-serve wash. Allow me the touch-free option because of the way our soaps and everything work. And so, and then the other thing that sets us apart is, one, we have little dog washes at every location too. So you can wash your dog, but we do everything
with O&R, right? That's with O&R, right?
Yep. Yeah. But we also use an app-based system. So if you download our app, it covers all the cars you own. So I have 5 cars, let's say, and I just pay for one membership, and then I can wash all 5 of those cars over the course of a week.
Oh man, that's awesome.
And I only have to take my phone, because I don't have to, or if I need to borrow my parents came up, they drove up from Idaho to visit. Hey, I just take their car, go over with my dad, and I just scan my phone, and it turns the wash on and gets them ready to go. So that's the other thing that sets us apart. But also the fact that I get to work with Dylan Von Kleist, formerly of Adams, Rupes, and now Auto Wash, and me and him have been friends for years. And and the two of us get to kind of be on this cutting edge setup for washing cars, which is amazing, and for us, it was kind of the future of what could be for car care, because what we built is express level detailing, which is something I started in. You remember my long-winded story from '96 back is that was where we started, right? That was what I learned and cut my teeth on. But I've done all various types of detailing, and the goal with this shop is we're here to support the car wash. If a car is detailed, the wash works better. any protection agents that we put on the car aren't going to get stripped off by the car wash. So we don't have to worry about that part of it. So if I coat a vehicle in the detail shop, I don't have to worry about the car wash damaging it. If I put a coat of wax on a car, I don't have to worry about the car wash damaging it. So all of the things that we do, the customers get their value out of it. They're not having to worry anymore. Or us as detailers, after spending all this time detailing someone's car, having them drop a bunch of money and then watching them drive through the neighborhood scratch factory because they're looking for convenience. They don't want to wash it themselves.
Absolutely.
That's kind of where we see it is we're giving the customer everything so they can get their car cleaned, then either have a membership already or sign up for a membership, take their car through any of our 27 locations around the state. But then the other thing that we're doing is we're providing convenience and speed. Everything that we've created there is to be done in less than an hour. All the services combined should take them less than an hour to do. And so they could a la carte an entire package and get that built out exactly how they want, as quick and as possible as they could do. So it's super cool because I jokingly refer to ourselves as, a fancy detail shop is a steakhouse. We're kind of like Chipotle, which also happened to be started here in Denver. We're fast casual, right? We're not a McDonald's, We're a little fancier. It's going to cost a little more. You're going to have it's a little nicer setup kind of thing. So we've got a nice little waiting area and a little storefront and all this kind of stuff that we've built out for customers to be able to use. And the products we sell are designed to be used at the car washes. So when they're finishing up, they're drying their car off and wiping it down. But we do the wash clay seal exact same way that I learned and did it in my shop and created videos with Ivan on. It's the same process that I do now.
That's cool.
And it's just been a wild growth aspect of how this, like from where I started to where I am now at 45. But it's one of those things that it's the natural progression to the next level of what is within this industry, and for me, that's how I look at it, because I see so many detailers that do, you're right, Tug, they say like, they look at it and they're just kind of in their shops and they might have an outlet via podcast, via just their social media, and they talk about what they do. But there's a lot of folks in this industry that haven't been in the industry. They don't know that everybody is friends. All the different manufacturers are friends. They don't know that everybody hangs out at the same, when I would go to Multitech, people used to be surprised because Ian from Auto Fiber and I would go have dinner every time. And they'd be like, what are you guys doing? You're competitors. We're friends. You guys don't realize how much the two of us help each other day to day in business when we have shipping issues. During COVID, we relied on Ian and Ian relied on us because there were some products he couldn't get and some products we couldn't get. And we would have to work together on a lot of stuff to try and get containers over. And that is something that I think most people don't understand, is how many companies work and help each other within the industry. And at the end of the day, all I care about is people enjoying the process of having a clean car, whether they do it themselves or they pay somebody to do it, that it's that feeling at the end of the day that they look forward to. And that's our ultimate goal in this. That's my story in a nutshell.
It's a cool journey. And I think a lot of any of us that have been in it, because I'm 44, so you got your start, I think, in detailing a little bit before me. I didn't work in the car washes, but it's neat how there's a lot of, and I think that's why we should be able to be friends, like competitors, even other detailers down the street. We should be able to there should be some sort of connection. If there's not, it's because I choose to kind of have animosity for whatever reason, because I don't want anybody to know we're friends, then my customer won't know I'm better. You know what I mean? It's ego, and it's a shame it works out that way, but it's just neat to see the journey. And what I was saying earlier, when thankfully Jacob put me on the spot, no big deal. What I was thinking was, Your fingers. One of the reasons I started, and I think probably some of the earlier detailing videos, and there wasn't a whole lot. I think when you started
Mm-hmm.
making videos with the Junkman 2000, and Matt
Yep.
Ward was on there, and watching those videos, there wasn't a lot of people to learn from, right? Just
Yeah,
like
right.
just like when Opti-Coat started with their coatings, there wasn't a whole lot of options. I found
Yeah.
Opti-Coat early. I found you, and then Anthony pretty early on, and I think that was definitely a blessing for me because I'd hate to start detailing now because there's so much
So
out
much.
there, and
Yep.
it's so annoying with the 2 bucket method, and everybody's you got to make sure you foam, rinse, foam. Listen, that's just like detailing is simple. Don't make it
Yep.
complicated. So I'm glad I found you early, and Opti-Coat and Dr. G. I've been making phone calls to Dr. G since 2015.
Yeah.
And you learn that baseline, that foundation,
Mm-hmm.
just like we were talking about before the start of the podcast. The Bible's your foundation. You'll understand what other nonsense doesn't make sense when you find detailing that baseline, that foundation. Then somebody says, well, XYZ, that's not, yeah, okay, that works for you, and I'm not going to argue. That's fine, you want to do it that way, but for me that doesn't really make sense. I'm going to try to be efficient. And I love what you said about Opti-Coat, and the synergy, because you can take that foundation and you can apply it even to your life,
Yeah.
to your being efficient. And it's not that your family's not machines. All right, kids, go be efficient, because they're anti-efficient.
Yeah.
Their DNA says, listen, Dad, you want to be efficient? Well, too bad, because we're going to be the opposite.
Yep.
But I think that's so awesome that you can take the wash clay seal to where you currently are,
Mm-hmm.
and like improve on it, teach other people. Unfortunately, I've taught other detailers, and I say, here's to be efficient, and then they end up going to some, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you going
Yeah.
back to, you're jumping around the car 17 times. You should stay on this spot and be done and move on. It's just, I don't know. It's just really awesome. That's why I think I was excited for this podcast, Levi, because you are kind of part of you don't know it, you didn't know that, but you do
Well, I
now.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and Anthony is going to be on the hopefully he's just had a daughter, so he's going
Yeah.
to wait. But Anthony, and we'll probably have a similar conversation. But anyway, my connection with you and your lack of connection with me, I'm a nerd. That's all right. But I just appreciate that foundation, and then your Opti-Coat, and then and I think for me it's the same thing. If I moved on to something else, I'd take a lot of the efficiency and the synergy
Yeah.
and that sort of thing with me. So that's just
Well, and that was part of it was, now that's the only way I detail, right? That's just how I do my thing. So coming into this new position, as I'm called the director of automotive appearance with the company, and it's the point is I'm handling the detail shop, and we're getting ready to go nationwide with our franchising for the car washes.
Oh, nice.
So,
Okay.
Nice.
Very
our
excited to
goal
hear
is
more
to
about
start
that.
moving the car washes into other states.
Yes.
And so we've started working with different groups that are willing to drop 10 to 20 locations in an area. And for every 10 locations we build, we're going to build a showroom. So the next level of this procedure is
Okay.
creating a franchised detail shop.
Okay. Yeah.
In the same vein. And so what I've been doing is creating these processes and these procedures of how do I, train and teach all these guys. And so my aunt at the time used to be the culinary director for Topgolf, and she was, I think, the third or fourth employee with Topgolf when they first started the company. And she used to create the recipes that everybody eats at a Topgolf. And she would go to every location as they built it. She would hire the chef. She would train the staff on her recipes, and then she would go on to the next location that they were building. And I joked that that's kind of what my job may morph into, is I'm going to be the chef the head chef, I'm gonna hire a chef to run that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna hire the team and teach them the recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you go to any Topgolf anywhere in the country, and it's the same food, and it should be the same quality and the same education, just like any other
Right.
style of franchise companies. Um,
Right.
and that's what we're trying to create. And
Yeah.
so, in that vein, is what are things that I can do to make sure that one, we're providing quality products to customers, quality results to customers, but also not giving away the farm. I don't want to go back to those days of
Right.
4-hour details
Right.
with
Yeah.
for $40, right? Like,
Right.
and
Oh.
so how do I keep
Mm.
them going? And so right now our basic, and you can find this on our website. Anybody that wants to look at it, it's autowashco.com/detailing. You can check out our website. You can check out our prices. I've got videos
Mm-hmm.
on all the services we do, but for a wash, for what we call our classic package, it's $200. It includes a wash clay seal. We run the car through the automatic wash. We pull it out. We spray the car down with rinseless. We then reach into our buckets, pull out our mitts, our clay mitts, lay the car
Mm-hmm.
down, and then spray protection on it, dry it off. Spray our wax and then dry it
Wow.
all off. Then we spray the wheels and the tires. We dress the tires, wipe down the wheels. And then on the inside, we blow out and vacuum. That's it. And then we take a towel, dunked in rinseless, wring it out, wipe down all the door panels, dash, center console, everything with our air and that
Mm-hmm.
wet towel just to give it a quick wipe down, and
Yeah.
then do the windows. And that's it. That's what we do
Wow.
for $200, and it's in and
Wow.
out in about 45 minutes,
Okay.
depending on the size of the vehicle. But
Yeah.
my goal is to try and keep cars at under an hour time period, because I put 2 guys on every car. And
Right.
so if
Mm-hmm.
I can get them in and out in under an hour, that's where I want it. And my ultimate goal out of my shop is to be doing 10 cars an hour with 20 employees. That's what I want.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
being able to
Wow.
knock out cars. Not there
Yeah.
yet. I've only been open 6 months, but
Okay.
I have no reason not to believe that we could hit that goal at some point,
Right.
of just providing simple, easy services. And then I have upgrades on top of that where we can upgrade the protectant
Mm-hmm.
for an
Mm-hmm.
extra $25. If they want to do a 20-minute one step, my polishing procedure where it's we use Rupes Advanced, Uno Advanced, and a
Mm-hmm.
pad, and one pad, a yellow pad, and 2 guys, one on either side, and they just buff the car quickly. I charge 200
Yeah.
extra dollars for that. We use Diamond Protex glass coating for windshields and back windows. The
Mm-hmm.
reason we use Diamond Protec is because I was able to help in the development of that company. And so for me, it's kind of a
Okay.
feather in my cap to be able to
Yeah.
talk to the customers about it as well.
Right.
Right.
But it works really well in this environment, because in Denver we have temperature changes up to 50, 60 degrees in one day.
Right.
And
Wow.
so it works really well in that type of environment originally, because it was designed for space and the uh, temperature changes of that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's $100, and you guys know how long it takes to put on a glass coating. It's so simple, so easy, so cost
Right.
effective,
Mm-hmm.
and takes no time. And so that's another one
Yeah.
that we do, and we do the front windows
Yeah.
and the back window, because again, everything we've developed is to help the car wash better. So if I can coat someone's
Right.
windshield, that means the bugs are going to come
Mm-hmm.
off easier
Oh yeah.
on the
Right.
front of the
Definitely.
windshield.
Right.
The back, which usually car washes, the back of cars are always the filthiest and they have a harder time getting
Right.
clean. The back window's
Mm-hmm.
now coated, and it just helps clean that much easier for the customer. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but all those things, so I can get it to where they a la carte. We also do headlight restoration, and we have a large vehicle charge, and then we do floor mat restoration utilizing Adam's tire and rubber cleaner and KCX's Gumi Fix, for rubber floor mats, because
Yeah.
these guys here use crazy amounts of magnesium chloride on the roads. And I remember, Dylan, you used to tell me, "Oh, we use mag chloride here," and I go, "Yeah, we use the mag chloride in Idaho." No, we used mag chloride sparingly in Idaho. Here, they basically fire hose it all over the streets.
Wow.
And so here cars
Yeah.
spent my first winter here, and holy cow,
Yeah.
I've never seen that
Yeah.
much magnesium chloride. So it
I can
turned the
imagine.
mats white, your
Yeah.
floor mats. And so we created a little $50 floor mat restoration service for the
Yeah.
customers to get them ready for spring and summer,
Yeah.
but also to add a layer of protection to help. If they got it done
Yep.
in winter, it would help rinse off the
Right.
mats a lot easier, but it wouldn't remove the dressing, all that stuff. So I added all these
Yeah.
little services, and now I've got it so that my guys could get a car done in under an hour doing all these services because of the efficiencies and the way that they're installed.
Mm-hmm.
And they could walk out of there, a customer could walk out of there paying $550, $600 for a service, and we did it in an hour. And
Yep.
gone are the days
That's
of me
awesome.
busting my butt or having my guys
Right.
bust their butt for $120 to do a massive detail. Now, it's not a
Yeah.
perfect detail, right? We didn't dress
Right.
anything on the inside.
Right.
We didn't clean seats. We didn't shampoo or steam anything. But
Right.
if you're looking for that, you can go to any of the other dealership or
Yeah.
detail shops that
Yep.
are available in
Right.
the area. And I'm not, I don't install ceramic coatings. I don't do paint corrections because I don't want to do that stuff because it's not because not because I don't want to. It's just it doesn't fit in the processes in
Right.
which we're creating.
Right.
Now, if someone shows up and goes, "Hey, I've got a brand new car, I just picked it up from the lot, and it only needs a one step, and I can coat it," and they're willing to pay my price to do it, yeah, we'll
Right.
take care of it for them.
Right.
But it's an off-menu item. I'm not advertising it. Otherwise, what we do is we partner with a ton of local detail shops, and Dylan and I background check them
Okay.
and learn about how they, and it's just like this. We're asking questions. Tell me your story. Tell me what you learned. Tell me if you've
Right.
taken any classes. Tell me if where you are in the industry and who you are.
Yeah.
And then we add them to our website. So we say, hey, if you're looking for this, if you're
Very
looking for
cool.
PPF or tint or a coating, contact these guys. This shop's right down the street, or maybe there's one in your area. And that's kind of the plan we're going to be taking going towards other states.
Moving out of state. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, is being able to still have that same setup where we're going to partner and we're going to talk. And then the ultimate goal is I have a big space. And so I want to be able to create these educational pieces for the local detailing community at these various new locations so that Auto Wash can become kind of its own hub for car care in the sense that it's got everything you need. You can buy a car, you can use our referral service to get your car protected and coated. And the goal with the referral service is the referral service also tells customers, hey, wash it at Auto Wash. Use Auto Wash. They're going to sell memberships. They're going to be able to say, like, use these guys because that's how I don't have to worry about the work that I put on. And it's going to be safe. It's not going to get scratched. It's not going to have any damage. But then also, I want to be able to hold tech days where customers who are maybe just getting into it and they want to learn how to do their car care themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe I teach them wash plate seals. Maybe we teach them. We have classes where other companies come in and we can have education days where, hey, you guys want to learn how to rinse this wash? You want to learn how to polish your car? You want to learn how to do all this stuff? Here's what we can do, and our goal and one thing we've noticed is many of our customer base is a very DIY base. They use our washes because they really do care about the way that their car is washed, and they try to do it themselves. And what we found is that many of them use our pressure washers and all that stuff. They maybe have a full setup at home. They wash at home every weekend, but then they also come in when they're like, what, I was on the road and I need to hit this and just get it clean. Or, man, it was too cold. I don't want to wash everything in my driveway. I'm just going to run it through the automatic. I don't have time, and I figured I'd just run it there because at least I know it'll get clean. So that's kind of the cool thing about it is that, we cater to a DIY base or a detailing shop base in the sense that detailers, tons of detailers here in Denver use our washes because they're like, I'm just tired. I don't want to wash my own car after I've been cleaning everybody else's car. So of course that's why I use you guys, and I don't have to worry about you guys scratching my car up. And so it's been fun to be a part of this and interesting. and like I said, I've been friends with them through the rag company for years.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
we sell rag company towels in the vending machines at every location, as well as in our storefront. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's been kind of a fun thing. And because Dylan used to work for Adams, we have some Adams products in the store, as well as our own Auto Wash branded products.
Yeah.
So, we're going to start refreshing some of that line now that Dylan and I are both involved within the company, so we can get back into product development and start creating some really cool, unique products for the wash, especially as we go nationwide. It's going to be needed to have in those locations that customers can use good products that work well.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome. I love I love how your story really does encapsulate the story of a lot of detailers. That, if someone is unfamiliar with the journey of detailing, your story is just a roadmap to it. A lot of detailers and people who have their shops can totally identify with. Like for me, I love to be a person who can refer. I love I found a body shop guy recently who does repainting. That makes me so happy because then I don't have to go, I don't know, good luck with that. I can say, this is the extent of what I want to do. This is the extent of what I can do. Here's the next step. And it's really difficult. It's really frustrating to not have a good outside of my shop car wash solution. And being able to offer that kind of a solution is such a great step forward in the industry, because I hate telling people and negative news, and I don't like to be someone who bashes on someone else's process. We have so many car washes here in the Quad Cities, here in Iowa and Illinois, and it's tough to tell people I'm excited that you're all ceramic coated up, and just be careful when you go out there, because if we're on it, people are paying us to detail and protect the vehicles because they don't skill set, B, they don't want to learn the skill set, they don't want to do it. So most of the customers, in my personal experience, would rather take it somewhere and just have it taken care of, and you guys are able to provide that peace of mind. And I love the way that you're able to say, we're offering these services, we're not going to offer these services, you should go here for that. And I definitely think that every state needs this kind of an option. So I'm loving learning more about it and excited to see how things progress and grow. And it's definitely the next positive step in the industry that has been much needed for many, many years.
Well, and I was just going to say, it's one of those things I learned when I was in Germany at Automechanica this past year, was a lot of the oil companies were together on stage. And it was one of the first times in the history, I guess, the president of Automechanica was there. It was a huge, huge deal. And they were hosting it in the hall that Car Care was in. And they had far better, grander halls in Germany, in Frankfurt, to do this in. And they chose to do it in Car Care. And they brought the president of Shell, of Wolf, Chevron, of Luke, all these different major, massive oil brands. And they basically came together as a industry and said, because of propulsion systems changing in vehicles, oil sales have dropped 15% across all of our markets. We don't know what it is or where it is, but we know it's because of propulsion systems. Because I have an EV, but I also have a old big block Suburban,
right?
And but my EV doesn't use any oil, and so they go back to going the only oils we're going to make, or petroleum products we're going to make, are bearing grease and things for the differentials. That's about it. We're not using the engine oils that we need to change out every 3,000 miles. And so they said, we're getting into car care, plain and simple. And I heard that and I listened to him and I was like, holy cow, these companies are now saying, they're literally stating, that's why they're hosting it here. What they're talking about is that they see the car care industry as an industry that is growing, that no matter what happens propulsion wise, people still need to get their cars waxed. They still need to get their cars coated. They still need to clean their cars, and they still want to protect their investments in their vehicles. So if these guys are moving into that, then I'm at least still in the right industry. But this was also, I was there at Auto Mechanica with an offer in my back pocket from Auto Wash, and knew that this was the potential future for me, was to come over and do this, and have to leave, and leave the rag company. But it was eye-opening to go, okay, if that's going to be the new, that we're going to have competition now of oil companies building their own chemical brands or of car care, because they want to get into the market. What does that mean about car care, and what is the future of car care at this point? And Auto Wash allows for that future ecosystem. If I can keep them in my ecosystem, where it includes the referrals, it includes just the DIYers, it includes the people that are 100% like in for the ride, like, yeah, you guys wash, you guys detail, I don't got to touch my car, and cool, then those people are part of that as well. And or if I can get to work with other detail shops to get people into that group, so to speak, and into that ecosystem, then that's probably going to be the best bet for us as a company to go. We're going to have a lot of competition, and as a product manufacturer previously at Rag Company, the competition is going to get higher. But what's not going to get a higher competition is with the oil companies coming out, that's going to provide more education with more emphasis on products, meaning more marketing, more capability. So it's going to push customers to look more towards how to care for their car. Our goal as a touchless wash system is to do no harm, and is to be your best friend and take care of your vehicle. So as we grow, that education is going to benefit us. And so it's one of those things where you start looking at the future and what that could mean and what that works for. And you go, all right, this is that. For me, that was like, I left Germany and was like, I'm going to take that job with Auto Wash, just because of the future aspects of what this industry could be, because it's changed drastically in the last 20 years. Tug, you know that. Like, it's totally different. And like you said, I don't know if I want to start detailing now, in the progression of stuff that I've had to learn, but it sure is a lot easier to detail now than it was back then.
Right.
So, and you're marrying Tug's concern about over information and over, oh my gosh, there's so many products, so many brands. And you're saying that some big players are coming into the market that are going to be introducing. So that's fascinating. And you mentioned Germany, and I'm just now remembering conversation we had with our new distributor in Denmark, Rune.
I love Rune. Rune's a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Well, and just realizing in Europe, there's so many regulations too, like it's becoming increasingly more and more difficult to wash at home, wash on the street. You have to go to like an automatic car wash in a lot of these areas. So something like Auto Wash being an incredible, like that's definitely a strategic position to be in, which is incredible, is offering the quality in places where you don't even really have the choice of doing DIY.
Yeah.
Well, and I've always said, we got a lot of hate for rinseless for years. And people always said, no, it's not the right way to wash. It's not the right way to wash. And for me, it basically boils down to, it's a skill set. Whether you agree with it or not, it's a skill set that as a detailer, you have to learn, because you never know when it might come in handy. And it may be various forms. You may be that guy that loves foaming cars and washes, and that's the only way you can clean them. And then you go to a car show and a dust cloud kicks up and covers your car in a fine silt, like we had it at Monterey one year, where the golf course across the street, the winds kicked up and blew silt all over the cars that were going through the auction. And me and our team were wiping cars down before they came through. And so we had to deal with wiping this fine dust off of cars. We were using rinseless to get that off because of the superior encapsulation over a detail spray. And it's because we knew that that we did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had it happen in my shop where I had the city water freeze coming into my shop. And I had customers that day. And I had to
Mm-hmm.
get those cars done. And it was one of those where if I didn't know how to do rinseless,
Mm-hmm.
I would have had to shut the shop down. I would have had to
Right.
turn those customers away. But what I could do was, well, okay, the water's frozen here. Let's hustle over to the grocery store and pick up as much distilled water as we can and carry.
Yep.
And Matt and I literally went and grabbed as much water as we could get, came back to the shop, filled up our buckets, filled up our pressure sprayers, and washed the cars and got them prepped and ready to go, and still detailed the cars and had them ready for the customers. And you know what? The customers didn't know the difference. They saw a clean, finished product, and that's all that matters. And so I say it's just like learning how to coat a car, just like learning how to correct a car, just like learning how to use a steamer, just like learning how to use an extractor. It's just another tool in your tool chest. And if you don't know how to use it, there's going to be times in your life where you're going to wish you knew how to use it. And it's the same thing with that. And it goes back to, we don't know how water restrictions are going to change in the future. We don't know, what a drought could do to your area. The UK never had a problem. And then 3 years ago, they were under a hosepipe ban for the summer and people couldn't wash, period. They couldn't turn on their hose. And so same thing in California. It happened for years. That's how O&R got its reputation, was because of that. People couldn't wash outside. And so there's instances that even if it hasn't hit your town or province or country or anything like that yet, it's coming. And so you better learn how to do it so that you can keep your car looking its best. And I joke that now I know how to bathtub gin a rinseless together with some products from the Walmart and build and be able to wash my car effectively if I have to. In the event of an apocalypse.
Right.
That's awesome.
Kind of a fun thing. But
I appreciate the content that you have been delivering and continue to deliver to the detailing community, because I had detailed, starting around 18 and basically left it and came back. And then when you come back, there's new technologies, there's new processes. And, when I had left, DA was kind of figuring out what's going on. And when I was back, it's like the king of the town, And so if you're someone who struggles with kind of jumping on the latest technology, you were a huge help for me with O&R, because
thank you.
With rinseless washing, I was, getting back into things and saying, oh, there's, new technology. I was kind of apprehensive, but you had that video with your huge black truck in the shop, and you could take something that dirty and turn it around. So appreciate the content that you are. The bigger picture of what I'm saying is, it's great to see whatever you're stepping into next, we can trust, so we're looking at the auto wash and seeing, hey, there's a new improved way of doing something that's been around for a long time, but now there's a safe way of doing it. It's great to see you putting out content showing that. It's like, okay, it's great to have the people you can trust. And it's also, you're a great person to trust because you talk about how you're able to have great relationships with other people in the same industry. Not everyone is able to do that. And it just goes to show
I'm not even able to do that half the time, but I've got good friends in the industry that we mesh well together, and that's what matters. But I've always tried to be friendly and kind and open to every person that I've met or come across. That's just the kid I was raised to be, right?
Right.
I'm not a perfect human. I've fallen short many, many times. But the goal is that at least in my professional career of educating people on how to use products the right way and how to go about it the right way, I've always been 100% truthful on those processes, because that's all the only way I know how to be. So I appreciate that sentiment, Jacob.
Yeah,
absolutely. Tug, what's going on? I see the wheels gears are grinding.
So going back to what you were saying, Levi, about the auto wash, and I didn't word it that way or think it that way. You talked about, why are these car washes doing all the same thing? They've been doing the same, and it really has. And I've said it to myself, the technology in car washes have been doing the same thing basically with some slight upgrades, but aggressive. Make a lot of. I mean, you're sitting in a tunnel wash. The noise in there is
Hmm.
so loud. Well, that's friction. They're called friction, high friction car washes. Soft
Yep.
touch. You can make them pink and you can make them smell good, but it's still aggressive. So, and I do agree with Jacob. I think we can most definitely trust your opinion, not just because you were a Opti installer, and that for me that helps. I think that greatly helps.
Yeah.
Right.
But and I know you and Anthony, which is why I followed you guys, and really nobody else, because you guys didn't bring anything in unless you used it and trusted it.
Yeah. 100%.
But most of his detailers, and that's what I was saying earlier, and no criticism to anybody. I'm not trying to be mean. I've made plenty of mistakes and probably do things that people say, what are you doing? Most people don't vet their stuff. They just go, oh, give me a bottle of that, give me this, I'm gonna go try this. And they're trying 72 different things and they don't stick with anything. And I think that's a detriment. Sure, you need to test and figure out what you need to use, but I think once you get your process down, I think then you refine it. Don't look to like cut it and dissect it and throw it away and then bring in new processes. So I think with auto, when what drew me to auto wash is obviously trusting you. And then I looked into it and I thought, oh, that's a shame there's none here. There only seem to be in Colorado. Understandable. They're doing something that's most aren't doing. You're looking
Right.
to give the human touch without a human hand, which no car washes are doing. They're trying to make them pretty, and no criticism. Those guys make way more money than I'll ever make. So I'm not criticizing their business sense, but that's definitely. I guess it's slightly better than not cleaning your car, going to the tunnel
Yeah.
washes. And I think to myself, in my career, I can't really do the washes anymore. Yeah, I can charge $100 to do a wash. I want to do a detail. I don't want to do a
Yeah.
regular wash. It's just me here. I want to do the detail because that's what your car needs. It's a 2010 Civic. You don't need a
Yeah.
wash. You need a detail. So
Right.
I want to be able to say, okay, I know you can wash it at home. Maybe you can bring it to me a couple times here, and then you can use the automatic. Like I want them to be able to say, here's a car wash you can go to. I wish there was
Yeah.
one. There
Yeah.
isn't because it's a great tool. Why do they all suck so? And like why do they all have to be so aggressive? So I didn't really have a question there. I just wanted to say I
No,
think
but
auto wash
that is
seems to be innovating.
and that's the biggest thing is many of these washes do the same thing. You could open a brand new wash and name it whatever you want, and 90% of
Right.
the time it's that guy's pulling up with the same type of equipment. It may be a little different than every other
hmm
wash, but he's still using brushes. He's still using the same style of
Yeah.
that everybody
Right.
else is. He's just using different colored foams, different colored lights, different colored
Right.
arches. But the initial
Yeah.
spray is always usually a low acid pre-soak,
hmm
then brushes, then
Yep.
and water and soap, and then more rinse, and then a high alkaline, and then another rinse,
hmm
and then they spray an agent on to change the water behavior. It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily always add protection; it just changes the water behavior of the car, and then it
Right.
comes out. And the
Right.
goal is that
Right.
Right.
you don't ever get out of your car to look at it when it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And back when I started a touchless wash, we used to wait till the car was through the tunnel before we would send the next one through. And if you've ever
Right.
gone through a current tunnel system or just sat and watched a local car wash in your area, it's
hmm
now
Bumper to
bumper to
bumper.
bumper. And
Right.
I used to go to this one
Right.
when I had my Suburban wraps just for fun. I'd go back to the original car wash that I worked at that was touchless, but has now been
Nice.
converted to a brush tunnel.
Mhm.
hmm
And I would go there on my lunch break just for fun, just to wash my Suburban because it was wrapped. And
Yeah.
half the time I just wanted to see if I could buff out the scratches from the wash in the wrap. And it was a lot of just weird
Yeah.
testing on my, which by the way, Avery
Yeah.
Dennison wrap films, you can actually buff out the scratches.
All
Wow.
right.
But what I was able to do was I remember that guy would pressure wash the car. He would get it wet before he sent it through the tunnel. And he would wait till the next car was through before he'd send me through. And then one
hmm
day, all of a sudden, I pulled up. It was a different guy. He didn't pressure wash the car. And I said, hey, you're not not going to rinse it off? And they have the gun there. They have it still sitting there. And he goes, no, we don't do that. And I was like, I was here 2 weeks ago and you did it. And they send you through, and I got out and looked, and I'm like, holy crap, there's still just tons of dirt and grime all over the vehicle. So I drive back around. Hey, didn't get any of this clean. And they go, oh, okay, push the button again, send me through. Doesn't remedy anything, but the current process in which they look at that is to go, it's cheaper for me to send the car through one more time than it is to pay an employee that 5 extra minutes to walk my car and hit it with high pressure wash and soap, or even like a degreaser or something before it goes through to get the car actually clean. And they bank on the fact that you're going to pay, you're going to go through, and you're just going to drive off with your day and park your car and never get out and never look at it. And that's what they're expecting you. And that's what's different about auto wash, is that's why we are we try and create as much content. We've got a new video out of Dylan talking about the differences between a brush wash and a touch-free wash. And he takes one of our employee cars through the tunnel wash that's conveniently built right in our parking lot for our headquarters. We call it the Scratch Factory across the street, but it's but that's what's fun, is we're trying to create that content to just continue to educate customers that there is a reason. And I say it's like, think of it like your own shower at home, right? Like our shower, so to speak, at Auto Wash is pH neutral, and it's hot water, which is pretty much what your shower is at home. Your body wash is a pH neutral body wash, and you're using hot water to clean yourself off. Like that's it. If you want to do a wash at the Scratch Factory, guess what? We're gonna get in the shower, and it's gonna be cold. But our first wash is going to be with vinegar. We're going to put vinegar on ourselves, and then we're going to rinse our bodies off. Then we're going to get beat up and get whipped by these brushes. They're soft touch, don't worry. But it's still going to be abrasive. Then you're going to get some soap. Then you're going to get some water, but you're not going to get hot water at any time in this. It's still cold water. And then just because we sprayed, put vinegar all over you, we got to use bleach so that we can even out the pH. So that way we now are pH balanced. And then we're going to rinse you off one more time. We'll spritz on a little suntan lotion, and then hop out of the wash. And that's pretty much what they're doing. Yeah. And
what I like about,
if you had to do that every day, man, that's rough. That's a rough wash.
Oh,
I don't think I'd be happy with my life. That was how I had to start my morning.
What I love about with auto wash is you're keeping the car at the focal point, at the focus, because I know a lot of car washes, you basically have to be a chemist if you're dialing in, because something more acidic, it's going to wick off the dirt from the brushes so that we don't have to clean them longer. And then the whole process is about keeping the car wash working properly and having a consistent output for every which is important, but when you lose sight and focus of the actual vehicle, then you've really kind of lost the battle. So that's what I love about auto wash. It's everything we're implementing, how do we keep the car and ultimately the owner of the car at the center focus, because it's just better customer service. You want them to keep coming back to you, and any level of, from a Honda Civic to a Maserati, you're able to give that person the same level of, peace of mind and care, so that's what's exciting, is anyone can go to you, and even the people with the nicest cars can feel comfortable going to you.
And we don't have anything underneath, so you don't have to worry about being a lowered vehicle or anything like that. You just pull in and pull out. And that's another big thing. The only other person that's really kind of starting to change and innovate, Adam Patali started a car wash in Boise, Idaho, that he's been building called Enzo's. And so he built a mobile rig to do mobile washes for the first 18 months before the wash was built. But now he's doing a conveyor system that is a full hand wash system where they scrub the wheels. He charges $100 for the wash. But he fully automated a conveyor system for a hand wash. And then he's adding express detail services as well.
Yeah.
But that he just launched that, I believe last month. So you can
Wow.
check that out at Enzo's Hand Wash on Instagram, and
That's pretty cool.
Cool.
it's a very unique setup, and it's unlike
Yeah.
anything I've seen in a while.
hmm
But yeah, there's I think we're going to see a change in the industry for this type of thing, for that type of washes, because more and more of the EVs now state to use touch-free wash on the surface because of
Okay.
so many
Okay.
sensors
Alright.
on the vehicles,
hmm
Ah,
and the cost of replacing a lot of the electronics in the vehicles and things, as they're
sure.
saying, to make sure
Yeah.
as it says in the owner's manuals now, use touchless washing only.
Right.
And they've got car wash modes now in the cars, so that when you do that, you get those touchless setups. So
Yeah.
it's kind of causing customers to learn about it. And if there's not a place in your area to do that, we're hoping that we'll be there soon.
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I think you guys are. Uh, it doesn't seem like anybody is on this journey as far as I don't know why, and I feel like that way about Opti-Coat.
Yeah.
It's doing some. Yeah. It's a small company. It has a lot of installers compared to a lot of the companies. It's not big like some of these installers have 5,000, but they're marketing companies. No criticism. That they're doing fantastic. They
Hmm.
know how to market and get people in. Um, Opti-Coat is just it's innovating.
Hmm.
It's doing something nobody else is doing. Nobody's using silicon carbide. Everybody's using silicon dioxide.
Yep.
They're both coatings. They offer different levels of protection, but nothing is going to outlast Opti-Coat. And I just that's what I love about companies like that are just they're dialed in. Here's their process. Everybody else is doing all this same stuff. We're doing this, and basically everybody's trying to cop. You were talking about PNS Absolute.
Yeah.
You're trying to make it like ONR. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like nobody can. That's the
Well,
awesome thing about
and
it.
if you've ever used Absolute, it's very different still. The makeup is very
hmm
different
hmm
when you mix it the way Optimum is. And Dave Phillips has even
hmm
stated, he even said, I don't know what Dr. G does to get it to emulsify so well in the water. He's
Right.
like, and how it blends with the liquid. He goes,
Right.
I tried my hardest. I don't know what he did. I don't know how.
Right.
He goes, this is the
hmm
best I can do. And his, you
hmm
can't shake it. It's more of a swirl, because that's the only way the polymers stay in there and
Yeah.
don't bind. The moment you start shaking it,
Yeah.
that causes them to bind with each other. And so it's even then it's its own. You see them start to bind over time, and you got to swirl that water to get going, because
Right. Right.
it keeps them loose. Where
Right.
ONR, you don't have to do that. So
Right.
um,
Yeah.
there's definite benefits.
Oh
So
yeah. Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. And this has been a really great conversation. Thanks for giving us
hmm
a deep dive into how you got to where you are, what you're doing, what to look forward to. And do you have anything on your mind you wanted to share before we hop off here?
no, if you guys want to check it out, you can always. Dylan and I do a live Q&A every
hmm
Friday, every other Friday, on our
Okay.
Auto Wash YouTube channel at 2:00 Mountain
Yeah.
Time. We just do a Q&A, talk about car washing and detailing, and
hmm
um,
Yeah.
square bodies and C10s. And then we do that. We've got a lot of videos on our YouTube channel. Check them out. You can follow
Yeah.
us at Auto Wash
Yep.
CO Colorado, Auto Wash Co. On Instagram and Facebook, and see all of our fun videos we're doing. We've got a good marketing team there that is it's a young team, similar like what I had at the rag company, and
hmm
they're doing some amazing work now, and I'm really enjoying the move. And then yeah, that's about it. Check us out,
Yep. Awesome.
autowashco.com/detailing, if you want to learn more about what we're doing, and then just stay tuned. We've got some crazy stuff coming in the future
hmm
that we're doing in development that I think is going to shake up the whole industry. So just stay
Good.
tuned to what we're doing, and look for an auto wash in your neck of the woods. So
Awesome. Thank
That's
you, Levi.
awesome. Yeah, and I forgot to ask until just now if you have 30 seconds to a minute of something that you would love for entrepreneurs who have maybe been down a similar road as you. I mean, yours is very unique, but you figured out a great way of taking on the next thing. And a lot of times people can kind of get stuck in their ways and get into a rut.
Mhm.
What would you say to the entrepreneur, to the one man solo shop, to the person who has a small team working with them? What do you need to go from where you are to that next level?
so something that worked really well for me. I talk a lot, as obvious that I did in this. But what helped me with work was keeping my mouth shut and keeping my ears open and listening to others, listening to other people's stories, listening to other people's um, way in which they did things, and reading books, listening to stories, listening to from all walks of life. There are things that you can learn in any situation from anybody. And that's one of the reasons that I always like going to trainings and education things, because 90% of the time, I probably already knew how to do what I was getting trained to do. But what I learned was a technique from somebody that was also taking the class who had a different opinion and a different set of circumstances that I had. And they would say what they did, and that's where I would learn something. And so my biggest thing is just keep your mouth shut, listen with both ears, and try to use whatever knowledge you can gain and glean from that in your life, because it'll make you a better parent, it'll make you a better partner, it'll make you a better business person. And don't take advice from your friends that haven't done well in business. Take advice from people who have done well in business and are continuing to do well. Find a mentor. That's the biggest thing you can do. So that would be my way of doing it. If you don't have a mentor, that's the biggest thing you can do. I have a guy that I've trusted for years. He's one of my best customers. He sits on the IMF. His resume is far greater than anything I could ever see. And he's a guy that I love bouncing ideas and questions and things off of. And he's been an asset. And so people always say, find a mentor. No, find a mentor. Do it. So that's it.
Great advice.
Yeah. Thanks, Levi.
Find a mentor. Always keep learning. Thanks so much for your time. Great talking with you, Levi.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Jacob and Tug, appreciate it. Have fun.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. See ya.
All right, man. Bye.